Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from the Govardhan Echo Village in Maharashtra, India. This is Wisdom of the Sages, your daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and my good friend and co-host, Kaustaubha Das.
Hello, everybody.
We are here, and we are just going after the Radhanath Swami episode, which is our big episode. People are tuning in from all over to hear that. Raghunath Swami is like, he's the living Bhakti master. And I'm not being just gracious saying that. He is the living Bhakti master. And I feel fortunate, and I'm sure Kaustaubha feels the same way, that he's in our life.
I do.
So much, and sort of really, I think you need people in your life, and I think our culture misses that. There's no elders. There's no elders in community anymore. It's like our elders are sort of like, so oftentimes like twisted, or they're like, we got to take care of our elders. My elders are an alcoholic. We're missing that in culture, and that's what another like gift of secular society is, and materialistic society is. The elderly aren't necessarily wise, right? In the old days, it was almost respectable to grow old. We want to hear from them. We want to hear about their wisdom, and sometimes it still exists out there. I'm not saying it doesn't exist completely, but you see these traditions in India. It's like you respect the parents, you respect the grandparents. And even though it's a different generation, et cetera, you have such deep affection for them because they've lived their life with such integrity. And you know they're not going to fail you. They live this dharmic life, this trustworthy life, and you trust them. What is going on with my phone? Anyway, how are you?
We should seek those people out.
We should seek those people out, I agree.
Yeah.
And Radhanath Swami is such a person that we've luckily had in our life. I haven't even had him in my life since, and probably you the same. When did you get close to Radhanath Swami?
Well, I met him, I believe, in about 95 or 6.
Okay.
Maybe 95. But it was really about 2001 when my guru passed away that I particularly began to seek his guidance, seek his shelter, kind of begin to hear from him much more.
It's actually very mystical because Kaustaubha and I were very close. For years as brahmacharis, as monks, and then we went our own ways. I moved to California, and he was still in New York, and we really sort of like, I'd say, pretty much lost touch with each other. Maybe a little bit we'd see each other, and then I think on my band's tour, on a shelter tour. Oh, you know what happened?
What happened?
A shelter tour. We played in West Virginia, in Wheeling, West Virginia. And Radhanath Swami we wanted to stay at an ashram. Why? Because it's fun. It's fun to stay at an ashram. He wants to stay at a gross hotel. You can stay at an ashram. You can eat the spiritual food, meet spiritual people. So we stayed at New Vrindavan Ashram in West Virginia. And Radhanath Swami was there. And we got there late at night. You remember this, Parmananda? We got there late at night. It was like probably 9, I don't know, was it late or 10 o'clock maybe at night? And Radhanath Swami was there, and he welcomed us. And he said, and he asked us about ourselves. Then he sat us down and told us the journey home. The entire book. He told it to us. Before the book came out. Years before the book came out. And we were just like, wow, who is this person? What a fascinating story. And then, it's tour. You play a show, you sleep, you get up, and you go away the next day. And so that's what happened. I never saw him again. A year later, our van gets in this car accident. We drive off the side of a mountain. I kid you not. We drove off the side in the Rocky Mountains, crossing from Utah to Denver. Our driver falls asleep, and we roll 150 feet down a mountainside, predicted by a palm reader. I kid you not.
It's all true.
It's all true. It's all true. 2 palm readers had predicted we're going down in a car accident. I kid you not. For years, we knew it was coming. And people say, well, that then you just made it happen. Not true, because we weren't driving. I was asleep. Some new guy didn't know about the palm reader. He was driving. Anyway, we went down that hill.
I didn't know about the palm reader.
And, it was we all miraculously survived. Like the palm reader said we would. The palm reader said no one we would all survive.
This palm reader's going to have his own website soon. Everybody's
Yeah,
gonna
well, we should get that palm reader on here.
Raghu'sPalmReader.com.
So anyway, beware, I may have food in my teeth. Just putting that out there for all the Zoomers so they don't just go, great show, but he had food in his teeth. I'm just putting it out there honestly now. Everyone's looking close now. Look.
Yeah. So
listen to this. So whenever there's tragedy for people in Bhakti, we try to like say, okay, what does that mean? Tragedy means me, my life. And life can end at any minute. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take this as a sign for my spiritual life.
Get serious.
They recommit.
Recommit.
We need these. Just like we have these meltdown Mondays. What do we call Monday? Makeover Mondays.
It's become meltdown Monday?
Meltdown Mondays. Whatever our Mondays are going to be.
What are we supposed to be doing on that day?
We still haven't locked it down, but we're
going to do something on Monday.
We're going to do something on Monday, and it's going to be about reorganizing ourselves. So I had this. So I took that tragedy as I got to get serious about my spiritual life. I wasn't a brahmachari anymore. And so I was like, okay, I'm maybe drifting away. I got to get focused. And I had a really wicked, my only injury really was a very bad sprained ankle. So I needed crutches.
Really? That's all. Some people were very seriously injured in that accident, right?
Not that one guy.
One person.
One person was injured, a roadie.
Yeah.
He got he got the same break Christopher Reeves got.
Oh.
And the doctor said he was the only one they'd seen recover from that.
Really? Did the palm reader have anything to say about that?
Yeah, the palm reader said no one would get seriously, what did the palm reader say? No one would die.
Okay.
That's pretty good. No one died. We should have been. Even the police said you should all be dead. People just died here last week at the same place.
Maybe that'd do something about that highway.
Maybe they should get some guardrails. Hello. Right. Come on. So anyway, we went down. I took it as a sign of my spiritual life. So I knew Radhanath Swami lived in India. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to call that temple that he's from.
Something in the heart said, that's Sadhu that I met that one time.
That's Sadhu that I met on tour last year. So what I did was I called up. I said, I'm trying to reach Radhanath Swami. It's Raghunath from that band Shelter. I met him last year. And somehow I got through to him. I said, Marge, I don't know if you remember me. I was a singer of that band. We met that night. He told us the story about your life. But I just got in a car accident, and I want to recover in India, and I just want to fast. Do you know any fasting clinics in India that you could send me to that you know of?
You thought he had traveled all around India.
Well, he's traveled all around India, and he's stationed in India. He might know a clinic where I could just do a water fast.
Oh, okay.
And so I called him up to do a water fast, and if you had some, they have these like mystic water doctors in India, these nature cure clinics.
It's all true.
And they're not that expensive and stuff like that. And he said, his answer was this: yes, I remember you. Can you get here tomorrow? And I was like, this was pre-kids and pre-obligations. I was like, yeah. He goes, just come. I'll make all arrangements. And I came, met with him. He had people folded hands waiting for me at the airport, picked me up, brought me to the ashram, fed me. And then he said, your train is waiting. They're going to put you on a train, took me to Pune, and then they took me out to some village where I got to fast for 10 days. And then they brought me back. And then I just decided I'm going to stay with him in the ashram here. And I felt like that cemented my relationship. That was like 1997, I think.
Amazing.
It was amazing. It was amazing. So anyway, I'm happy to say he's been in my life intimately, meaning in my heart ever since then. And then we reconnected from Radhanath Swami.
Yeah. And you moved back to New York. I
moved back to New York, and it was, anyway, that's a whole nother mystical story. Okay. And it might be the most mystical story I have, but I'm not going to tell you it now. But I kid you not when I say there's a God. If you're thinking, well, I like it, but there may not be a God. There's a God. I know for a fact there's a God.
God.
Now, the story, you won't believe the story if I tell you, but it's a true story. Okay. Can I tell? You want to tell a story?
Who am I to stop you?
I lost everything. I lost everything in that real estate thing. in the real estate crisis in America.
The crash of 2008.
2007. Everything crashed. And they were encouraging every idiot to buy houses. And they were giving money away to everyone. You too? Me too. Everybody. Everybody in America. And everybody was getting, all the mortgage brokers were getting rich and all the banks were getting rich. And they were setting us up for disaster. I don't mean to make a blame, but I'm no economist. But when you start lending money to a yoga teacher, don't ask to see their assets, their income, or their credit score, and you're going to loan me $500,000 interest only to buy a house in Southern California. We're on the brink of collapse. We should understand that your economy is on the brink of collapse. And they were like, every day you get a letter. Would you like $40,000? Would you like $100,000? They're just giving money away back then. So anyway, when the housing market crashed, and I was really trying to set and I was teaching in Beverly Hills, and I had a lot of like influential clients, and I wanted to open a center there for Ayurveda and yoga in Beverly Hills, and it just wasn't working. And then when everything collapsed, I took it as a sign, you know what? Let's get the hell out of Los Angeles and move to the countryside. So we moved. This story is getting too long. All right.
Just get to the mystical part.
All right. The mystical side. Okay. We moved upstate by the mercy of a friend. We moved upstate. We had no money. I had 4 little children, and I had 1 workshop. So I was living at the mercy. I lost everything. I lost my cars, lost my home. I was living at the mercy of a friend in an extra house he had. He had an extra minivan with a door that did not close. And I started like rebuild my yoga career, because the yogis, we got to rebuild our yoga career wherever we are. So I worked solidly for 8 months and just taught, and I started getting on my feet again. And then after 8 months, me and my wife decided, you know what? Let's go to New York City and visit my mom. My mom lives in New York City. And we went for a jog up the West Side Highway. So we were jogging there. We passed this big building, a big warehouse type of building in the West Village. And I said, oh, honey, you're never going to believe this, but back when I was when I was younger, I put my name on a waiting list. You see, this is a building for artists, and you have to get on a waiting list for this building. And
it's massive. It was like a GE.
It's a massive
warehouse.
It was like where
block.
General Electric was, or something like that. I think they built the atom bomb there or something. It was like a big factory, but they turned into lofts for artists who have no money, and it was purchased by a wealthy artist. But you have to get on a waiting list, and then you can get a loft, and you pay no money. And I said, 17 years ago, I put my name on this waiting list. I wonder if I'm still on this list. And she goes, well, let's go find out. And so we jogged into the building, and I said, hi, my name is Ray Cappo, and I'm on a waiting list for a loft apartment. And I met a woman named Cynthia. So she signed me up for this.
17 years ago.
17 years ago. And they said, well, Cynthia's in right now. Would you like to speak to her? We're like, yeah, I'd love to speak to her. Okay, wait here. You got to call her on this phone. She's in the office, but you can't just walk in there. And I said, hi, I don't know if you remember me. My name is Ray Cappo. I haven't been living. She's like, and she just stopped me. And she goes, you're Ray Cappo? Where are you? I go, well, I've been living in California all these years. And then I moved back to New York 8 months ago. But where I am now, I'm right outside your office. And she goes, get in here right now. I was like, oh, man, maybe she's mad because I went to California. I didn't know what the rule was.
I'm sorry.
You gotta understand, I'm pretty much broke at this point with 4 kids. And she just goes, very nice lady, very American looking lady, you know. She goes, I'm no spiritual person, but this is the most spiritual thing that ever happened to me. And she grabbed me by the hand and walked me to her computer. And she was writing me an email. I kid you not. That's a true story.
Saying that your spot had opened up.
There's a spot open. There's a loft for you in Manhattan. And my wife was never even been to Manhattan. I was like, if you don't know anything about Manhattan, you do not get apartments. They don't come running after joggers. It is a whole horrible thing to find an apartment in New York City. And I was like, well, I don't know if I can even afford the rent. What's the rent? She's like, $650 for a loft. I was like, 17 years waiting. So anyway,
get on the list.
Well, 2 things could happen. I was like, this is either a divine plan or it's Maya. It's Maya trying to get me back into the grind. And so whenever there is a fork, this is a great lesson. Whenever there's a fork, you got to ask people, right? Mara, right? Whenever you have a big decision on your plate, find people of integrity you trust and ask them, what do you think about this? I go to you, Kaustaubha.
I go to you.
Come on.
I do?
Come on.
Come on.
You're never in a fork. You're in a speedboat back to Krishna's feet. That's the problem.
I'm in a couple forks.
He's never in a fork. My whole life is forks, knives, spoons.
One
I'm
time,
on a spoon just going around.
one time I hit a heavy fork and Rose was like, now you're here, right down here with the rest of us. Now you're grinding it
Well,
out.
check this out. So you know what I did? I called Radhanath Swami in India. I left a message. Is Radhanath Swami there? Please tell him Raghunath has an important question for him. So because the lady said, listen, if you don't take this apartment, we're giving it to someone else. I need to know by Thursday. It was Monday. I need to know by Thursday. I was like, ugh. So I called it Radhanath Swami, and Radhanath Swami said, incredible. He goes, when I first heard you were moving to upstate New York, I was so happy. Because in California, I felt like you were very isolated in what you were doing. But here, there's so many good people to work with. And he mentioned you and Yogeshwar, which is Joshua Green. He said, so many great people. We have like a great network of people in New York. He says,
What year was that? 2000?
That was 2007.
Okay.
Or 2000, beginning of 2008. He said, so if you can, 2008, he goes, because I was already upstate for 8 months. He goes, if you can let go of the beautiful pastures of upstate New York, the pastoral setting, he said, and you can come to the New York City, then I look at that as Krishna's arrangement. Because 3 years ago, I was gifted a building in the Lower East Side, which has now become the Bhakti Center. And he said, but it's been under litigation for 3 years. But January 1st, we will officially have that building. When do they want you to move there? I said, December 1st. And he said, then that's Krishna's plan. And I tell you, I got to hand it to my wife. We packed up all the kids and we moved in 2 days.
Wow.
Isn't that a crazy story? Is that the craziest story? That was a magical story.
It was magical, right?
It was magical. And I don't even want to go into it, but when more and more magic happened. All this stuff is real.
Okay.
All of it's real. Do you have any faith in your mind, whatever? When you feel like you're getting connected, you just hold on tight. And then hold on. You're going to get taken for a ride. And it's going to be the ride of your life. It's all true.
Nice.
All right. Good morning. Oh, we didn't even, let's say those prayers. That was a pretty long intro. It was a good story, though. Come on.
It was good.
Right? Was it worth it hearing that story?
Yeah.
You got to, whenever magic happens in your life, retell it because you'll forget it. And then you'll forget how magical life is.
It's magical at every moment, Raghu.
If you see it, if you see the magic, it's magical.
Yeah.
But you just like plow right through it. And then when something does magical happen, then you forget about it if you don't retell that story. Thanks for reminding me. What, Mara, what happened? I touched it and it disappeared.
You have it memorized anyway.
I got it memorized. Ready? Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavate uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. A regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become almost completely destroyed. And loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established in the heart as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Tamurandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Jai.
Mindful Monday. Oh. All right.
Time for some Bhagavatam.
Time for some Bhagavatam. Yes, Kaustaubha.
We're on
Lindsay,
text
you got our
22.
spot there. Lindsay, we're here with Mara, executive producer. Tom, second executive producer. Lindsay Scott, scribe. Bhakti Louie, inspiration from Hoboken. We got a whole team of people around the world on Zoom. And if you're listening, we forgot to make all these announcements. If you want to listen on Zoom and join our lovely Zoom family who constantly talk to each other all day long on Telegram, which is sort of like WhatsApp. It's a Telegram. You can write to Mara at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Also, if you have a question and you want us to read, you can write it to Mara too. And if you're on Zoom, you can put it right on the board.
We've got a couple good questions kind of stocked up that we're going to get to.
I think we're going to start question day.
Maybe one day a week. Maybe that should be on Monday.
Mindful Monday could be question day.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly work.
We can regather our thoughts, our dreams, where we want to go in this world. Okay. Okay, we did. Okay. Chapter 3, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 22. We're still talking about incarnations of the Supreme.
Avatars,
a.k.a. avatars. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. He exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist king Ravana, who was on the other side of the sea. You know what's fascinating, Prabhu? You sometimes hear something about Lord Ram. And sometimes the stories overlap in different Vedic texts. For example, you hear some of the Mahabharata in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Sure.
And you hear some of the Ramayana in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Sure.
So you'll get layers on top of layers on top of layers. And the interesting thing is, the more you read it, they give you different vantage points of the same pastime sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they talk about a person's father or grandfather or great-grandfather, just like we read about Vyasadeva. But there's so much information on Vyasadev's father. It's not super common, but you can find it. And on Vyasadev's children. And it's like if it was just one book, it's pretty straight, a book. But these, because at least what the Bhagavatam says, they're all real.
It's a network of...
It's a network. Just like I could write one page about your life on a page. But I could also go into great detail about what you've done each day of your life. The Bhagavatam and other Vedic scriptures go into these details about personalities, and they reoccur and reoccur and reoccur. Sometimes the Bhagavatam will list, like, they're trying to talk about one king, and then 20 generations later, they mention another king that's related, like a descendant. So they'll go through each, and it's almost tedious, but they'll go through each of the generation of the family line. It's almost like if they're just telling a story, that's superfluous. Why are you telling about 19 generations that have nothing to do with this story? It's because it's real. Because it's real, or it wouldn't, right? That's got to be the name of the show today. It's all real.
It's all real.
It's real. They're real people. They have real characters, and you can go dive in deeper and deeper into their character. Anyway, you get a little glimpse that Ram's coming, and Ram's Leela, that's actually captured. Some of these other incarnations, you got to dig around to find information about Kurma, about Matsya. They have the Matsya Purana, the Kurma Purana, and stuff like that. Nishringa.
But Ramayana is big.
But the Ramayana is sort of like, it's the big one. It's one of the probably the most famous story in ancient India, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and Bhagavatam, basically.
Yeah.
But Ramayana, you can go to Bali and see them do the monkey dance from Hanuman. You can go to
Indonesia,
all
Vietnam.
over Indonesia.
Yeah.
These were all like
Lanka, of course.
Yeah. I've told this before, but I'm going to tell it again. I was doing Muay Thai in Thailand. And if you've ever seen a Muay Thai fight, it's very, very vicious fight. But before they start this vicious fight, the fighters come out and do this abstract, surreal, weird dance. They do a weird dance before they're about to get into like this horrible, like mixed martial arts, practically speaking, warfare. And so I was asking my coach, what are they doing? And he just said, that's some ritual. I said, like, well, what is the ritual? He goes, it's called Ram Moy. And as soon as I heard Ram, I was like, okay, well, what is Ram Moy? He goes, I don't know. It's just some rituals that we teach the students that got passed down from my teachers. And so I did research on Ram Moy. They're acting out the Ramayana. They act out the Ramayana, and it's to pay obeisances to their teachers, their forefathers, and to God. Ram.
Nice.
Very interesting, huh?
Yep. I have a nephew named Ram Moy.
No.
My
You
wife's
have a nephew
maiden,
named Ram Moy.
My wife's maiden name is Moy.
Your wife's maiden name is Moy?
Moy, M-O-Y. And
It's like a Scottish name or something? It's not like a Thai name, obviously.
it's
Your wife's very...
I think
Where's
it's
from
a
English?
Huguenot, which is ultimately a French name.
Okay.
And her brother is also a Bhakti-yogi.
And
he
his
named
name's
his son
Ramoy.
Ram.
Figure.
Ramoy.
It's another miracle!
It's all true.
It's all true! They're not ending today. Okay. Anyway, these Ram Leela, the Ramayana is, or the Ramayana, I don't know how you pronounce
Ramayana.
it. Ramayana?
Ramayana.
I've been calling it Ramayan for years. Thank you for correcting me.
I've been waiting for you to ask me. Really, I have.
You're allowed to correct me and slap me if you like.
Oh.
I'm okay with that. It's 36,000 verses, I think, and it's the Adi Kavi, they call it, the original poem of the universe.
Wow.
Because it's ancient. Now scholars will say, well, no, I think it came after this. I think never trust scholars. You know why? They're guessing. They're guessing.
Let me get this straight. All supernatural things are real. Anything coming from a scholar is false.
No, not anything coming from a scholar.
Okay.
But if they're speculating about it, so this is the interesting thing about the Vedic paradigm is they will tell you when things begin. And they say we'll tell you when it begins. Krishna appeared, and you can calculate it at the end of Dwarpa Yuga. You don't have to do any scholarly research. If you want, you can try to figure it out, but it's already there. And if you want to have lots of fun, go back to World Book Encyclopedia from 1965.
See how much of it is still
See
true.
how much is true today.
Yeah.
It's a lot of guesswork taught as fact.
And not only that, sometimes I just see, I mean, I'm not like a scholar. I never went to college, university or anything, but sometimes I'll see some like, well, here's this for,
Did you graduate high school?
I graduated, but barely. Like they put me in some weird program and they just kind of let me like.
You were in the dummy kid program?
It was supposedly smart kids, but it was in a trailer behind.
Tell them it's a smart kid program.
It was in a trailer behind the school.
Yeah.
And the
yeah, we put all the smart kids in the trailer.
And it was in a trailer behind the school, and it was like
sand down all the sharp edges.
The gym teacher like kind of was like trying to up his profile and like was running the program, you know. But in any case, but you'll read like this book. They say both of these were written by Vyasadeva, but scholars have determined that that's not true because if you look at these verses over here, they're in a different style than these verses over there. So it had to be by two. It's like, come on.
I know.
It's like, give me Meet the Beatles and Abbey Road. And
whoa! Did you hear that analogy?
Right.
He's talking about two different records, how they're written by the same guys.
But it's very different music.
Very different music.
Yeah, so
Kaustaubha defeats the scholars with one Beatles analogy.
Done with.
Years of getting their PhD in Columbia, study Vedic lore, and you just, boom,
like
took them all out with a Beatles analogy.
Thank you.
You were in the smart group because you have deep, different intelligence. You had spiritual intelligence.
You let me in.
Okay. So anyway, according to the books themselves, Ram's Leela was ancient. It was in Treta Yuga.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of years ago.
More.
Hundreds of thousands. I don't know.
I believe so.
There are people that have done the math and figured this out, but I just can't remember. but it's ancient.
Well, like one yuga, like Kali Yuga is what,
Kali Yuga is
437,000?
432,000 years.
And then every yuga is longer than that. So
Dwarpa,
at
yeah.
least it's
So
hundreds of thousands,
Dwarpa
if not
Yuga is
millions.
double that. It's 864,000 years.
Yeah.
And it was from the Yuga before that. It's a long time. That's when Ram's been worshipped all this time.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram. And Ram is worshipped. Like, everybody loves Ram.
I do. I mean, it's limited. My love is very mixed with so many other things, but beautiful descriptions are mine.
Hanuman, Ram temples all over.
Yeah.
India, right?
To this day.
To this day. Maybe we should read a little bit about the purport. And Prabhupada says about this. The personality of Godhead Sri Ram assumed the form of a human being and appeared on the earth for the purpose of doing some pleasing work. You like that? Who says that? That's so high English. Pleasing work for the demigods and the administrative personalities to maintain the order of the universe.
Basically means Ravana was messing things up. So
Yeah, there's a very, very powerful yogi. And I don't mean the guy, I don't mean,
Bikram.
I don't mean
Chaudhuri?
Bikram or Shiva Ray here.
Okay.
There was a powerful yogi with mystic powers. And he was so powerful from worshiping Shiva and Brahma, right? He worshipped Shiva and Brahma.
Well, Hiranyakashipu was, I know he was
Okay.
getting
Ravana
benediction
worshipped
from Brahma.
Shiva.
Yeah.
And because of it, he got all these powers from Shiva. But the thing is, what do you do with your powers? What did you do with your powers?
What was his motive in the first place?
What's your motive for getting powers? And that's what we say in Bhakti too. It's not what you got. It's what you do with what you got. Write that one down, please. Lindsay, it's not what you got. It's what you do with what you got. You got mystic powers? Great. Use them for spiritual way. Christ-like had mystic powers, used them in a mystical way to serve, to get people to surrender. Right?
Yes.
So there's mystics who can bring you to, but there's mystics who, and this is a common thing if you study Indian gurus. So many good stories about they develop some siddhi. Now in America, we're just fascinated by anyone doing anything mystical, but they do some siddhi, and Radhanath Swami writes about this in The Journey Home. They do learn some mystical power, and you go, oh my God, he made this thing come out of his mouth, and a Shiva lingam came out of his mouth. Right? There's a guy who does that.
Yeah.
They said Shiva lingam come out of his mouth. He made stuff appear from his hands. And we're fasting. We sit back, and he's got a beard. He gets points for having a beard, and he wears orange robes. He must be a guru. And then we say, well, what is your philosophy? The philosophy is love, and I'm God. He's God. Well, only God could do such a miracle. And even if you talk to Christ, or Christians, talk to Christ. Even if you talk to Christians, they'll say things like, hey, if you know a person who can resurrect from the dead, then maybe you should follow them. Well, come to India. You can meet all types of mystics. And the fact is, it's not the mystic power that makes them godlike or avatars or gurus. It's what they do with what they got. And if they're claiming that they themselves are God, and I get it, but we're all God in that sense. We're all God, but we're tiny drops of the ocean. We are not the ocean.
Raghu?
Yeah.
Since we're talking about Ram,
Yes.
and you're talking about it's not what you got, but it's what you do with what you got.
Yeah.
Can you share any? I'm going to put you on the hot seat.
Uh,
You invented it. Can you name any one or two instances in the Ramayana that illustrate this, that it's not what you got, but it's what you do with what you got?
It's not what you got. It's this very thing. Wait, Ravana's got great wealth. What does he do with his great wealth? He uses it for his own ego.
Okay. there's that.
Ravana's got Sita.
I'm looking for clear examples that specifically.
That's not clear. Ravana's got a powerful city
but
and mystic
where
cities.
like the very moral of that part of it is very clearly illustrated that it's not what you got, but it's what you do with what you got.
Jatayu.
Jatayu is one that I was
Jatayu's
thinking.
an old bird.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Jatayu?
Well, Jatayu's a bird. He's a vulture. He's like considered, an ugly bird, like a low-class bird. If the peacocks and parrots and quetzals are these high,
He's a buzzard.
He's an ugly bird.
buzzard.
No one has. I want a pet vulture. Oh, the vultures are in the sky. How wonderful. No one's looking up to vultures. But his redeeming quality was that he was a great devotee of Lord Ram. How could a bird be a devotee of Lord Ram? Why not?
Why not?
They're spirit souls. And he was old, and when he saw Sita being kidnapped, he was furious. And he realized, hey, everyone's got to die. And Sita's being taken away from Ram. I'm going to give my life to save her. And you know what? I'll probably die.
Heart-touching stuff when Sita's like warning him.
Please, Jatayu, don't do it. Don't come in. He'll kill you, Jatayu. He said, and he just declaimed, I'm a devotee of Lord Ram. And if you think you're going to take Sita on my watch, he had a watch. A bird watch.
Bird watch. This was the origin of bird watching.
This is the old. If you think you're taking Sita on my watch, you got another thing coming. And then
I think Janeshwar has something to share in this regard. Okay.
And then he started fighting full on at this very, very powerful 10-headed monster that was Ravana. And Ravana was a very fierce fighter. But because of his incredible determination, he pecked, he poked, he scratched at Ravana. It was horrible. It was horrible. Matter of fact, it made Ravana's flying chariot hit the ground. The fight went on for 1 hour. And then eventually, Ravana started getting stronger and Jatayu started getting weaker. And he took Jatayu by the neck, pulled his sword from his scabbard, cut off his legs and cut off his wings, and threw him on the ground in a bloody mess. And as Ram and Lakshman were searching for Sita, looking for clues, trying to find the trail, there they saw
Jatayu.
a big whoop. They saw Jatayu, but they didn't know what it was at first. Matter of fact, when Lakshman saw it, he took off his glasses and put them down and said,
Were they sunglasses or spectacles?
His monocle. He had a monocle.
This is what Maharaj is talking about the special details that you had.
Sometimes you just got to embellish to make this. He took his monocle off and said, my dear Ram.
I presume.
He said, look at this bloody, feathery mess. This must be some feathery beast that is eating Sita right now. I shall kill it immediately. And Lakshman charged Sita Devi. And Ram said, wait. And he walked closely and he saw it's Jatayu. Jatayu saying, no, Ram, I did not harm Sita. I tried to save Sita, but it is me, your old servant, Jatayu. Please forgive me, Ram. And Ram picked up this big bloody bird and started to embrace the bird. It's like Maharaj was embracing you yesterday. Started embracing this bird.
Embracing you too.
Rocking back and forth. And he said, Ram, I have failed you. You've given me everything, Ram, but I have failed you. He took Sita away. And he looked at Jatayu, who's on his deathbed, and said, oh, Jatayu, you have not failed me. You have done everything for me. I'll never forget you. And there Jatayu left his body in Ram's embrace. Jatayu ki!
It's not what It's not what you got. It's what you do.
It's not what you got. He wasn't a good fighter, but you know what? He dedicated everything he got to fight for something he believed in. Come on. If you got nothing to fight for that you will die for, what's life for?
That's right. Now, one more example from Ramayana. It's not what you got, it's what you do with what you got. It's the ultimate, it's not what you got, what you do with what you got story. Janeshwar knows.
Janeshwar, what you got?
They said the squirrel.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All right, come on.
Come
Get
on
over here. Come meet our friend Janeshwar. We got to get Janeshwar on the show, this guy.
Well, now you got it.
Let's get on John. All right, come here. Get your face in this picture. Here's our drummer. This guy's got a story to tell you, Janeshwar. All right, speaks 5 languages, went to the Mayapur Gurukul.
So they say the squirrel.
No. Come here. Talk right into the microphone. No one can hear you. You speak like a little
They were
mouse.
building the bridge to Lanka.
You're competing with me. I got the biggest mouth in town. Okay, tell him.
So they say the squirrel, when they were building the bridge
To Lanka.
to Lanka to fight Ravana, the little squirrels, they also wanted to do service. But the monkeys were doing the biggest service, carrying the stone, writing the name, throwing in the water.
Throwing huge
Yes.
boulders.
So then squirrels.
Hold on, the backstory here is They knew that,
Sita was captured on the other side.
and they had to get there. They couldn't get there, so they had to build a bridge. So all the monkeys are giant. They're throwing boulders in, but the squirrels want to do some service.
Yeah. So what they would do, they would roll themselves in sand, and they would go to the bridge because it was made of stone. So they would shake their body, and they would make few steps. They made it like a comfortable road for Sri Ram. And when Lord Ram, he saw that as a reciprocation, he also gave them the line on their back.
Yeah, the 3 lines that you see on the Indian squirrels. But I think it was like almost like Hanuman or other monkeys were saying, get out of the way, you're blocking.
Also, yeah.
Right? And then Ram was like, no. Everyone is contributing what they can contribute. You're giving these huge boulders, but what they give means just as much to me. You're giving everything and they're giving everything. Right?
You know, it's interesting because nowadays we push everybody. You got to do more. You got to live up to your potential. There's more in you to give. But you know what? Sometimes people just like stress themselves out. You don't have to do more. You have to do what you can do. Do what you can do, but do it in service.
Right.
Who cares if you're doing tons of stuff, but you're exhausting yourself, you're wiping out your adrenals, you're killing yourself. Why? To get more? Who cares? So you're going to die with more stuff or leave it to your kids? You're going to fight over it? Come on.
Come on. Thank you for that, Janeshwar.
Thank you, Janeshwar. Where'd he go? I thought you were right next to me. Someday, if you come to India with me or on pilgrimage, you will meet Janeshwar. A lot of you know him already. We love this guy.
All right.
All right. That was good.
Yeah.
All right. Moving. Should I keep reading that purport?
As you like. Whatever.
Sometimes great demons. Again, demons means, it just means they're against the authority of Vishnu. It doesn't mean they have a tail with an arrow on the end and a pitch and little horns on their head and a pitchfork. It just means they're against Lord Vishnu. Sometimes great demons and atheists like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu and many others become very famous due to advancing material civilization by the help of material science and other activities with a spirit of challenging the established order of the Lord. For example, the attempt to fly to other planets by material means is a challenge to the established order. The conditions of each and every planet are different, and different classes of human beings are accommodated there for particular purposes mentioned in the codes of the Lord. But puffed up by tiny success and material advancement, sometimes the godless materialist challenges the existence of God. Ravana was one of them, and he wanted to deport ordinary men to the planet of Indra, which is a heaven, by a material means without consideration of the necessary qualifications. The stairway to heaven.
The stairway to heaven.
Perhaps
Yeah.
you might call it. Was that about
There's a
Ramayana,
lady-
the stairway to heaven?
I don't know what it was about.
Someone, can you research that, Mara? Oh, it's in the next sentence.
About Led Zeppelin?
About Led Zeppelin? That's my question. He wanted a staircase. Thank you. He wanted a staircase to be built up directly reaching the heavenly planet. Can you find origins of Stairway to Heaven, Mara? It's like, all right, I'll put down my knitting. He wanted a staircase to build up directly reaching the heavenly planet so that people might not be required to undergo the routine of pious work necessary to enter that planet.
It's a very interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
In other words, people belong on certain places due to how they've lived, and you're trying to get there without having lived that life.
Yeah. Right. Right. I gotta now. This could bring us a whole debate of whether we went to the moon or not.
No, it did not have to go there.
You don't have to go there
It
because
does
we can
not
talk
have to.
about it if you want. We can tease that out a little bit.
I don't think we need to.
Don't think we need to.
No.
Here's the deal. Even if we went to the moon, even if we did. By the way, has anybody been to the Smithsonian Institute lately? I went. I took my kids. Look at what they went to the moon in. You'll be like, they didn't go to the moon in that. They're lucky if they rolled that thing down the back of somebody's hill. It is like, it looks like a bunch of us made it, like, and then we made a go-kart. It doesn't look like it went anywhere. Now, I'm no scientist, but as soon as me and my kids saw this, even my kids were like, they didn't take that to the moon. But, and if they did get there, how'd they get back? They got back? All right, maybe you got there. You got back? And then the next one is, okay, suppose you got there and you got back. Did you see what was there? Right? Right? Suppose an ant takes a spaceship up to Raghunath's computer and lands right on my keyboard. Right?
Yeah.
An ant with all his ant buddies down here said, well, you know what? I wonder what's up that thing. I wonder what's up there. I wonder what's up there. Let's build something. And they build something that can fly to the top of the table.
Yeah.
And they get out of their spaceship and they're looking around. No, it looks the same. Same thing as down there. Nothing. Because I'm an ant and I don't even have eyes anyway. I have no clue that a Bhagavatam class is going on. I have no clue what a computer is. You know why? Because I'm an ant.
Right.
So we can go to, perhaps we go to these planets. Perhaps we go there. How do you know what you're not seeing? How do you know you're seeing what's actually happening?
You know, the space program may be a classic example of it's not what you got, but it's what you do with what you got.
Why?
I mean, you spend a lot of money.
You spend a lot of money.
Maybe you could do something better with it.
I'm no conspiracy theorist, but they could have funneled a lot of money somewhere with that, all that NASA program. What do you think?
Okay. I'm not going to.
You're not going to go there? We're already there.
I'm trying to bring it back. So I'm trying not to go deeper.
Text 23.
Okay.
Seems like Mara just corrected me, put me in place. Thank you very much.
That's her job.
Encourage me along. He even challenged the authority of Lord Ram and kidnapped his wife Sita. Anyway. In the 19th, this is text 23, according to Mara. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as
Lord Balaram.
Lord Balaram and Krishna.
Dauji,
the older brother, in the family of the Vrishni or the Yadu dynasty. And by doing so, he removed the burden of the world. And what was the burden of the world? A bunch of crazy kings. A bunch of crazy kings. And by coming to the earth. Huh?
Bad rulers.
Bad kings, yeah. So there's this verse in the Bhagavad Gita, a very famous verse. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani. I sang it in this high pitch because they would chant that on Indian television.
Okay.
I was trying to break glass. No, they chant that on Indian television before the Mahabharata would go on. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavat. Wherever there's a decline in dharma and a rise in adharma, then I come myself and appear, or I send some representative to appear.
Let me ask you a question, Raghu. Do you think we have bad rulers now?
I think it's relative because it. Well,
I think we got some really bad rulers.
Well, yeah, we got some bad rulers. I don't want to say, but I'm trying to compare myself with Hiranyakashipu and Ravana. You know
but
I mean?
I'm just saying, you see, in the context of what was said, what this verse.
I mean, it's Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, we're going to have a bunch of bad rulers. It's part of being in Kali Yuga.
Fair enough. But in the context of what this verse is saying, it removed the burden of the earth, right? It says here the burden of the world, but if we look at the Sanskrit, earth is what we're talking about, because that's where the story of Krishna's incarnation or Krishna's coming begins. With the earth is overburdened by the bad rulers. And if you look at the earth right now,
got some bad rulers.
Look at the rulers right now.
We're wrecking stuff.
Yeah. So it seems. So then the question becomes, how does
Krishna
incarnate in this age?
And the answer is in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah. Or as well.
And the spiritual master and the teachers.
And
Lord Chaitanya.
And
more. Lord Chaitanya's older brother.
The holy name.
Oh, the holy name, yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to go through that. Every character in Ramananda Roy.
But especially, this is, in his commentary, Srila Prabhupada will say that actually in this age, Krishna manifests in the form of his name. And this is how we remove the burden from the world, is actually through this kirtan.
It seems so like, well, come on.
It may seem that way.
It may seem right?
Yeah.
Okay,
But you know what?
we're all going to sing
But you know
together
what?
and all the world's problems go away?
You know what, Raghu?
And the answer is,
It's all true.
it's all true. I get it. I believe it. I believe.
I believe it.
I believe. And by the way, when I say I believe, that doesn't mean I don't hit doubts. I don't hit walls. But whenever I just keep moving forward, when I hit that dry spot, something else gets revealed to me. It's like I'm walking off a cliff sometimes, and then there's something to catch me. And then the magic keeps happening.
Nice.
Continue on.
Please.
Do I have your blessings, Mara? Mara, did you ever find what happened with Stairway to Heaven?
I didn't find it.
explain it?
Tom knows.
Tom knows. Yeah, Tom.
Let's bring in Tom.
There's no origin.
There's no origin of Stairway to Heaven?
Robert Plant just streamed consciousness.
Robert.
Written in Snowdonia in Wales in a cottage where him and Jimmy Page were camped out writing songs.
You hearing that? Jimmy Page and Robert Plant were camped out writing songs in Wales,
Snowdonia
and
in
he
Wales.
it just came to him.
Because Robert Plant is actually very well read with, especially Tolkien. With,
So maybe that's what we're trying to get at. Is there some origin that he derived that?
He just took mystic
Readings.
readings from the Midlands.
Alistair.
That's Jimmy Page.
That's Jimmy Page. Okay.
Basically, that's what Robert Plant. He just was into the mysticism of,
Okay.
Greek gods
All
and
right.
things like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are the lyrics have anything to do with the Ramayana? You know, Star Wars is from the Ramayana. You know that, right?
Of course.
Star Wars is the Ramayana. There's Chewbacca, Hanuman, Princess Leia, Sita. Did she get kidnapped in Star Wars? I can't remember.
I've never even seen any. I don't know anything about Star Wars. I never
Return
seen
of the
any.
Jedi. She got kidnapped. There you go. I mean, it's not 100% the Ramayana, but Darth Vader, Ravana, come on. In the 19th, okay. Check this out. Check this out, Buddhism. 5,000 years ago, this book was written. They just talked about Krishna and Balaram, who appeared 5,000 years ago. It's speaking about Krishna and Balaram appearing at the end of Dwapara Yuga,
Okay.
right?
Now we're going into prophecy.
Now we're actually in the recent times. This is predicted 3,000 years previously to what's about to be said. Ready? Hold on to your seat cushions. Then, in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya. Come on! Just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful theists.
That's
It's
a big
prediction
topic.
of Buddhism.
Yes, it is.
It's
Of
fascinating.
the appearance of Buddha. Yeah.
The appearance of Buddha.
And Buddhism.
And he wasn't born in Gaia, but he was enlightened in Gaia.
Yeah. There you go. Well, that's a birth, right? That enlightenment is a birth.
Lord Buddha, the powerful incarnation of the personality of Godhead, appeared in Gaya, which is in Bihar. You get the Bihar school of yoga, as the son of Anjana, and he preached his own conception of nonviolence and deprecated the animal sacrifices sanctioned in the Vedas.
Right.
So some parts of the Vedas, not the part we follow, recommend animal sacrifices.
Sanction it.
Sanction. It's
Yeah.
like, if you're going to do it anyway,
Then do it like this.
you got to do it like this. You know, there's certain animals you can kill on a certain moon. You got to whisper in.
The whole. Huh? That's right.
Aww. Right when I said you can kill an animal, I didn't say it. Don't blame me. You're going to end the show now. All right, wait a second. I'm up.
We'll pick it up tomorrow.
Everyone joining us. Fun day today. It was hard to do after Radhanath Swami, but you guys are wonderful for joining us. Check with us. We're here tomorrow. Again, people listening on our podcast. Have a
Kiko
great
over
night.
there.
It's a great day to have a great day. That's what I'm about to say. It's a great day to have a great day. Everybody on Zoom, thank you for joining us. 61 people today at least. Thanks to everybody who joined late. Sarah B.
Look at Sean Murphy dancing over there.
It's my daughter Sachi, Danielle Brigham, Kumi Yogini. What the heck? Isabel Fernandez. What the heck? Gopal Chandra, my neighbor.
I mean,
Amanda Haas.
Akiko's got some kind of far out background.
I can't hear you.
Akiko, she's got some kind of far out background. Akiko.
Akiko G.
Akiko.
He's yelling Akiko. Radhe. Jai Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Radhe. Come on, you guys.